Hey, Ian, thanks for joining us to this Load Smart webinar. For everyone out there, I want to introduce myself. My name is Sam Belt. I'm the LTL Sales and Strategy Director with Load Smart. And yeah, we have Ian on here to talk about what Load Smart and Shipper Guide has done for him and his business over the past few months. And yeah, Ian, if you don't mind, go ahead and introduce yourself. And looking forward to getting started.
Yeah, hey, I'm Ian Allison. I'm with General Installation. I am their transportation and supply chain manager. I've been with them for about 3 years now.
Awesome. When we first started working with General Installation, can you kind of give before we started, could you give some of kind of the background and challenges you guys might have had with the LTL market and the truckload market during this, post-COVID time?
Well, I think our biggest challenge is we use multiple platforms. So we've always had a 3PL partner, even multiple 3PL partners, and they all offered different technologies for us to execute our freight. Our challenge was to have one platform for everything, and LoadSmart and Shipper Guide ended up solving that problem for us.
So talk about what happened when you were able to kind of consolidate those two modes, right? You had truckload on one platform, you had LTL on another, so you had you had separation of data. What has that been able to do for you guys as business from maybe a strategy perspective on transportation, be able to bring those two modes together in a single platform? And what kind of benefits have you seen so far in the program?
It's made our daily work much more efficient, for sure. Like I said, we use multiple platforms. So we had one for LTL, we had one for small parcel, another for our truckload spot quoting, or we were even sending emails out to carriers asking for rate requests. Once we implemented Shipper Guide, we now could execute our LTL freight within that platform and then also use their spot quoting tool for our truckload business and keep or maintain the relationships that we already previously had. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Shipper Guide was the first to do this in the marketplace.
Yeah, because we really pride ourselves on this as being like one of those first TMS light that are able to instantly book any mode of transportation in a matter of seconds while keeping your direct carrier relationships when it makes sense, or your brokerage relationships. So describe, could you talk about maybe tracking? Like everyone wants to talk about costs and saving money, but there's also those soft costs out there that really people don't always foresee. Talk about the tracking side of it. How's the tracking been from a truckload and LTL consolidation inside Shipper Guide?
It's actually gotten much better, because one thing that the LoadSmart team does very well is develop updates as we're using that product to make it better. So tracking has always been good, but now it's getting to great. We're getting actual milestones within the platform for our LTL, so we don't have to jump to, say, another carrier's site to get more precise tracking. As far as truckload goes, you have that little ask the carrier update button, which is phenomenal. Just click that button and get a response on an ETA instead of us having to send emails or make phone calls. We can, like I said, we can just work within one platform.
Yep. And I love that what's great about Shipper Guide, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if it's a LoadSmart brokered shipment or it's another provider's brokered shipment. You're still getting that tracking piece, regardless if it's moving through LoadSmart or not. So that's where we see a lot of advantages from customers from the tracking side of it. First, before you start, what were some primary challenges or inefficiencies you guys face previously? Maybe like the LTL quoting flow. I know you guys have high class freight. So if you can speak to what are some efficiencies you guys saw from moving over to Shipper Guide, just from a quoting standpoint, maybe in regards to like multiple modes or anything like that. So, are you able to speak to that at all?
Yeah, sure. So most of our freight is high class. It's installation. Carriers don't really like to move our freight in general because it's light and it takes up a lot of space. With that being said, oftentimes we run into instances in which a shipment could potentially be mode neutral. And so we can use LoadSmart to quote an LTL, and then if we get a volume rate automatically, we can then say, maybe we should look at what a truckload is in this lane versus a volume LTL.
Yep.
And Oftentimes, depending on that mileage band, it makes much more sense to just go ahead and ship as a truckload versus an LTL. So it's made that flow almost seamless.
Yep.
Just going back on the theme, we're not jumping from platform to platform. We're just hitting a different button within the same one to get a different rate.
Right. It's really good for those kind of gray areas, I say, in freight. It's 6 pallets. It's taking up, 14 linear feet. Should I move this just class-based LTL? And the great thing about Shipper Guide is providing you a partial truckload, a volume LTL, and you get a truckload all within 10 seconds. So you're able to really make that mode choice effectively, and also based on service. Hey, it's a 2-day truckload, the 4-day LTL. Is the price worth the price, the operational efficiency is worth the price. So we're glad you're utilizing that, because we honestly built that functionality just for that reason, to be able to help with those kind of in between shipments that people typically only have one option to go with in most platforms. Um, let's talk about implementation, right? Talk about how many locations you had and how quickly or slowly you can do either one of you were able to implement Shipper Guide inside your location. So if you can speak to how many locations you guys have from a shipping side of it, and talk about what was the implementation process like.
It was super easy. So we have 40 plus locations across the United States. As I said, almost all of our guys that are planning loads were using some sort of technology or have used different technologies over the years. So as far as quoting flow goes, sort of similar, to a lot of different patterns or platforms. So training was really easy. And what we ended up doing is, I think, 3 different regional trainings. So we would have 50 to 60 maybe load planners on a call, and
Yep.
did that over a series of a couple of weeks. And then we just set a go live date and said, all right, guys, we're going at it on this date. And it worked. I
That's
mean,
great.
our people are smart. It's not a
Right.
difficult system to use. It's intuitive. We just needed to show them general ways of operating within it, and then just giving them the freedom to do it. It's one of those things, you have to do it.
Right.
You just,
Right.
you know,
And honestly, that's part of the how we built Shipper Guide is that we want to make it very easily on change management. You're talking about 50 or 60 people. You get 20 people, it's like, I don't want to do this. So we really want to make this an easy implementation and an easy, good user experience. So I'm glad you guys were able to kind of get that experience with it, because that's honestly where our vision was. Because we know some of these TMSs, you got to have like a mathematical engineering degree to actually understand all the bells and whistles to it. And so yeah, I'm glad that you guys had a good experience from an onboarding standpoint. What are some of the biggest benefits you've seen by using Shipper Guide? Levels of service. You talked about quoting if efficiencies. Anything else you can say is it was been a huge benefit, even from an operation side?
I think there's a lot of things that we could say. I mean, the one
Say them
that
all.
right, the one that stands out, I think, for everybody, or the one that, of course, executives want to know is, hey, where's the cost avoidance? Are we actually saving money by utilizing this platform? Was the investment worth it?
Mm.
And the initial analysis for our LTL came back at 14%.
Mm.
I was absolutely surprised, because other carriers have tried to bid on our business and they always fell short.
Yep.
It was 1% savings, 2%, definitely not worth the cost of change.
Mm-hmm.
But when your team came back and said, hey, we can offer 14%, that's a pretty big number.
Yep.
Hard to ignore.
Right.
And that was the impetus for the change, for sure. But what is even more surprising is, while you're engaging after implementation, you're sitting here thinking like, okay, are we actually hitting these metrics? Are these savings real?
Right.
And even to my surprise again, not only were they real, they were better
Right.
than what was actually proposed. So 14% in reality, 18%. And that's because we were utilizing some other low-cost carriers that I honestly didn't think would be successful just based on previous history with those carriers that
Right.
have their service over the years and have been successful to us. So those guys weren't included in the analysis, and our teams were utilizing them, giving us an even better overall savings.
And I will say, that's like the 3PL brokerage dark clouds. They come in, say, hey, we're gonna promise you 14% savings. A year later, you do analysis and it's 3, right? And so we were excited that we could not only provide you that initial savings, but also more on top of it. A lot of 3PLs end up taking that additional savings away. Well, we want to give that back to the customer because you guys are utilizing LoadSmart. You guys are a good partner. We want to keep that partnership. So that I'm so happy to hear that not only was the initial analysis done to show 14% savings, but after the first 7 months, we were showing almost 4% increase on top of that. So that's great.
Yeah. I mean, I'll add here if you want.
Yeah.
We can talk about LTL freight inspections, and they just occur. It is what it is.
Yep.
It's a cost that we have to manage, unfortunately. Our previous provider was not giving us an opportunity to even look into those to see if they were valid at all.
Mhm.
It was just, oh, 3 months later, here's an additional charge. Do with it what you may, which is pay it basically.
Right.
Now we have an opportunity from your team alerting us, hey, this shipment was inspected. This is why. Is it valid? Sometimes 100% yes, we made a mistake. Maybe we didn't package it appropriately, something like that. Okay, our fault, reclass, we'll pay. Other instances, the carrier has made mistakes, and we've been able to prove that. So there's this unknown dollar amount out there, and I actually should start quantifying it, but I think it's fairly significant that we've been able to save on our freight because your team has allowed us to dispute LTL inspections.
Great. Yeah. I mean, that's what, again, that's a good partnership that we're trying to provide with our customers. Be like, not just a text, not just a tech platform, but also LTL operational support at the same time. So inside Shipper Guide, we also, from a truckload standpoint, we give shippers an idea of benchmarking and market analysis on the truckload side in particular. Are you able to kind of speak to what have you been able to do with that information from a benchmarking truckload price point?
I use it mainly when a sales guy comes to me and says, hey, we're bidding on this job somewhere. We're going to have X amount of truckloads. What do you think we'll pay? And I'll see LoadSmart's rate digitally, that almost instantaneously, and then the benchmark. It's real easy from there to say, hey, we're probably going to pay within this range. So it gives that salesperson a good idea of what that freight is going to cost, and he can add that into his final bid or final quote. And when we win, then we're able to bill that back potentially to a customer, or maybe not. And maybe it's something that we're able to absorb because of the overall job. And it just allows us to be much more competitive.
Great. Yeah. So we also that's a great point to make is like, you're able to really look at that benchmark price even now or even into the future from 3 months from now, because we're trying to give you guys a market analysis of where the market is going to be even 3 months from now. So if that job is 3 months away, you're still able to kind of make that intuitive decision. Where should that freight cost be when it comes to on the truckload side? Um, can you speak to, I know we've talked about LTL. I know we've talked about truckload. Can you speak to the partial truckload side of it? I know your team has been able to utilize the partial truckload piece inside Shipper Guide on a number of occasions. So what has the benefit of the partial truckload piece been to you and your team over the past few months?
Sure. I think that goes back to that mode neutral conversation when we're shipping something that is taking up a lot of space. It's volume LTL or potentially a truckload. A lot of times partial will come in and the rate will be in line with the volume, maybe even better, sometimes definitely better than a full truckload. And it just makes more sense to ship as a partial. For one fact, there's less touches. So our freight at times can be a little bit delicate depending on the product. And if we're in that volume territory and we're shipping 5-6 pallets of a specific type of insulation, it's better for us to put that on a truck with less touches than hitting all those terminals throughout.
And that's definitely something we looked at strategically is, there are those instances where a high, a very susceptible freight, taking up a lot of linear feet that you don't want to touch a lot. That's why we do provide that instant partial truckload price to give shippers that, just that additional, like you said, mode option, where in most cases it's either you're going LTL or you got to go find a quote for volume and they got to go find a quote for truckload. So it's been very advantageous for customers to utilize that partial truckload in certain instances. You being an industry veteran for over a couple of decades, I didn't mean to age you there, but what would be your advice to your peers that are kind of going through similar circumstances? They're having to utilize truckload at a different platform. They do it via email, LTL on a different platform. So multiple locations. What would be your advice to these peers that if you got to speak with them?
So I don't know what ages me more, my gray hair or you saying I've been in the industry for about 20 years. So either way, it is what it is, right? My advice is if we're specifically talking about a partnership with LoadSmart. So if they're knocking on your door, answer it. Because I was on your side, Sam, at one point in my life, outside sales rep. Man, it's difficult sometimes. You're making those phone calls, nobody's picking up, or when they do, it's like, we're good at what we're doing right now. That's the biggest roadblock is, sure, you might be good, but can you get better? And I would say with LoadSmart, most certainly you are going to get better.
We love that testimonial right there. That is fantastic. And I felt that from a fellow sales rep for sure. Can you speak about the data, right? A lot of times when you have multiple platforms, you're not able to consolidate data. How easy is it for you to kind of see how your locations are spending from a data download? What does Shipper Guide and LoadSmart be able to do for you from a data standpoint when you need to take that information up to your executive level?
The click of a button for the most part. I mean, sometimes I might have to go to someone on the LoadSmart team and say, hey, do you mind running this report for me just to get a different look? But you implemented Copilot a little while ago, which is basically an AI tool in which we can ask it questions and it'll spit out an answer within, a couple of seconds. And from that, you can ask it different layers of questions and you can ask it to map it or graph it, which is really cool because I'm not good at making graphs, nor am I like making maps. So, hey, I'll just ask Copilot to do it for me. And then I can go back. And if I need to present in any manner, it's a nice, clear form. And there's other benchmarks in there too. You can filter and sort by your locations, your lanes, etc. And it'll tell you what your historical spending is. Are you over the benchmark? Are you under? Are you in between? Is it agnostic? I mean, all of that's pretty important overall for sure. So it made my life easier.
Yeah. I mean, I really love that benchmarking tool of where you're buying against the market. Especially for operational transportation planners, say, hey, look, I'm buying 10% below market right now on this particular lane. And then there's certain lanes that you're buying over market, but maybe you can kind of dig into why and then honestly go try to negotiate better rates to get closer to the market on that. So not only are you able to see overall how you're buying against the market, you can actually really be like pinpoint operational analysis into, okay, where are we bleeding money where we shouldn't be? And so I think that's another big advantage to utilizing Shipper Guide is a lot of times you don't get that operational support. You tell your executives freight cost is what freight costs. It is what it is. Like but now we're trying to give just more information, more data to our shippers to be able to come back and make those operational decisions based on the data.
Yeah, data makes those hard conversations much easier. Even if you're just having a conversation about pickup success, We're much better as a company if we set our truckload appointments at 11 a.m. versus 8 a.m. for lots of different reasons, right?
Mhm.
When branches or people might question that, you can go back to the data and say, well, here, you can see our on-time percentage. And which is better, picking at 8 or picking at 10, and then move from there. So data is definitely very useful.
Yep. So Ian, kind of give me a timeline of how you guys were executing your truckload freight, or even your LTL freight, even a couple of years ago, and kind of kind of go into the progression of how you found Shipper Guy and LoadSmart, and would love to hear kind of what that progression looked like.
Sure. I mean, we can go back a few years and talk specifically just about truckload. All of our we had some providers that all of our branches had access to. Um, but other branches might have had some different carriers that they've had success with. And so they maintain those relationships at a local level. And that worked, but was it the most efficient way? I mean, we were making phone calls, sending emails, waiting around, and we really didn't have a way to just have a partnership with only a few different providers that could service us nationally and start to foster a strategic relationship. So we were able to find a technology a couple of years ago that helps support that process in centralizing and automating our truckload quoting. But they had since exited the market, and we were already working with LoadSmart from a truckload capacity. They actually participated in that other platform with us. So when that group exited, LoadSmart stepped up to the plate and stated, hey, we have this technology here too, but also we can help you execute your LTL business. And from there, I spot quoted a few shipments. I was like, oh, wow, this is pretty good compared to what we were previously getting or were getting. And the rest is history. You know, the analysis happens and we show the savings and implement from there.
I love to hear that, and I'm glad we're able to kind of, a lot of 3PLs promise a lot of things they don't deliver. So I'm glad that LoadSmart, not only we promised you what you're looking for, but we also were able to deliver at the end. So Ian, talk to me a little bit about the LoadSmart uh, support you've gotten over the past few months from either operational side, pricing side. So if you can speak to just, how's your overall experience been from LoadSmart on the on the support side?
Sure. I mean, we could take that a couple different ways. So there's strategic and then operationally. From a strategic viewpoint, we have yourself, Mike Evans, Tracy Webster, all have been integral in helping develop different strategies that benefit GIC as a whole, whether that is just learning about specific services, so partial truckload services, LTL, how to operate those within the platform, even just discussions around contracted rates. I know Mike knocked on the door plenty of times saying, hey, we also offer LTL here. And eventually we got to that agreement just from him. So having those strategic relationships at the top certainly help create different efficiencies for ourselves. I mean, we did some bidding with some LTL carriers. We were successful with one recently bringing them on board, thanks to you. So that's been amazing. From an operational standpoint, you have the team around Tracy. So Gina, who's been phenomenal. I think what happens with a lot of 3PLs, especially in the LTL world, but maybe just transportation in general, we're going to be reactive, and that's not helpful. My argument has always been we want to be as proactive as possible. And that's what Gina has been in the team under Tracy. It's never really a surprise that an exception occurs. It's, hey, we're being notified, and here's the next steps that we're trying to do to solve that problem for you.
Awesome. Love to hear that. And I know everyone that you mentioned there. Love to hear that they're doing a great job. That's kind of why we're in transportation. And I just want to thank you so much for kind of jumping on this webinar, talking about your experience with LoadSmart and Shipper Guide. There's nothing more than a great customer testimonial for an organization like ourselves. So again, thank you so much. And is there any kind of closing statements you'd like to make before we kind of wrap this up?
Please answer that call. Have a conversation with LoadSmart. They will certainly make your day much easier, much more efficient, and save your business tons of cash, which that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So thanks for having me on this call. I really appreciate it and look forward to the many years here that we're going to be partners.
Love it. Thanks, Ian.
Great. Thank you so much to Ian for taking time out of his day to record that previously with Sam. And now we have Sam Belts with us to show us the actual LTL workflow of Shipper Guide TMS and some other features.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Rachel. Again, I love hearing those testimonials from customers when people say when LoadSmart calls, answer it. Like that is just as powerful as you can say, especially in today's market when everyone's getting hit up a million times by transportation partners promising savings but not delivering. So yeah, I'm excited to go through this demo with you guys. I'm really going to go through the quote flow of the LTL and kind of give everyone a visibility of kind of what we're doing differently here at LoadSmart that that General Installation was able to utilize in order to have cost savings both on the operational and different modes. So
I can see your screen.
love it. I was going to ask someone, but that's beautiful. Okay, so this is the LTL quote flow we were discussing earlier. So everyone has ever utilized an LTL, any type of quoting booking system. It all starts with the pickup and delivery address. The pickup date, we always go same day, but you can push this thing out as far as you want. I always go Beverly Hills now 210 because that is I'm aging myself. That's definitely a zip code I'll never forget. So you always want to start with the pickup and delivery addresses. Accessorials are really trying to pick, we really honed in on the most used accessorials in the LTL world. But this is customizable. We're able to add any other accessorials that your company may have that you may not see here. So we try to go with the most used ones that is simple as a click of a box. To find out what those accessories are needed from liftgate to protect from freeze, limited access, trade shows, all that good stuff. And then from there, excessive length is a big one. We've seen with customers, sometimes forgetting to add it. So we try to make it very visible for the customers to do it. And then from here, it's really simple. You type in what your commodity description is. Let's say you have 5 pallets, it's 5,000 pounds, it's 40 inches tall. So what we're doing down here is we're calculating your linear feet. I'll show you why in a second. But if you do have stackable freight, click of a box, we're able to limit that linear feet down to 8. So it's really simple, easy way to use, the stackable button to understand the linear feet because LTL freight is all about, does it cube out a trailer, does it space, or does it weigh it out first? And then let's say, you have some new transportation planners, and we've seen this in the past as well, is new people to the LTL industry don't really understand class. And so we try to make this super simple with customers is like this click of a box, we're going to search the NMFC database for the commodity name. And then right there, we're able to find that class of the speakers is class 125 because we're searching the entire database. It's as simple of a click of a box. So no more reclasses. We calculate that NMFC code for you, which really helps with LTL carriers and billing. So not only you guys becoming like a really good, getting really accurate quotes for your customers, but you're also being a good partner to the carriers. Carriers want this information. They want automation as much as possible. And so that's how why we kind of built that little tool in there. Then from here, you're getting quotes. So this is what Ian was referring to. So not only are you going to be getting LTL class base rates that everyone's accustomed to, we're also going to give you a volume LTL rate in the same quote flow. I don't see many systems out there that you have to separate those two different quote flows. And then we're also giving you a partial truckload. That's based on a proprietary algorithm from LoadSmart. And so we're able to understand where we have capacity in that market on our partial truckload side, and we're able to give customers instant visibility into that as well. So as you see here, you got a standard rate with Saya. We have a partial truckload for $1,000. We have all these different carriers, and then we also have volume LTL right here as well. So we're really giving you all those different options when it comes to mode choices. So if your shipment can, it's a lot of times we see advantageous pricing on volume because that's really hitting the carrier's network needs. We're plugged into the carrier's network. So we also see customers utilize that partial truckload, even if it's for a couple $100 more, because they know that freight is not going to be moved as much during transit. So let's just go with the cheapest rate. Everyone loves, inexpensive freight. So let's just go there and check out. And so what we do here is really simple, right? We calculate all that information that you put into the system. You can add any reference numbers you may need, any PO numbers for the carriers or for your sales order. And then what we do is we automatically, so every time you book a shipment with LoadSmart, you create a new facility, we're saving that facility information. We're saving the windows, the delivery times, all that information. You don't have to keep adding and adding more and more every time to really speed up the process. And then all the pickup and delivery notes, we're able to set a default. So if you know that facility is drop at the door, it's first come, first serve, all those different types of, delivery notes, pickup notes is really simple to make a default. So you don't have to continually add that information to, call the right contact. And from there, you're able to click, your contact information. And then from there, valid name. What happened? Of course, guys, Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. Of course. All right, we're going to do this one more time really fast. We're going to Beverly Hills. We're going to go to a different location. Oklahoma is much better anyway. 5,000 pounds. See how quickly all this is done? Very quick. Even though I made a mistake or maybe didn't add the right information in, I was able to get it done in a few seconds. So waiting for these rates to come populate. Now, in this case, the LoadSmart partial truckload rate's better, but we're going to go with ABF. Go with SIA. Sorry, ABF. And then from there, you're able to book it. So this is what happens afterwards. So the carrier gets notification that the shipment's been tendered. All the pickup notes are going to the carrier, all your reference numbers, all the information. And this is now your new shipment screen where you can download the BOL, download shipping labels, and all your tracking is easily manageable inside of the shipment tab. Very easy. So right here, we are doing everything via API. So on our tracking side, we're really working on milestone tracking. We want customers to know where that freight is at all times. So anytime that shipment gets scanned into the LTL carrier's network, you're getting a ping. So if it's going from California to Oklahoma, it's going to say leaving California is now heading to Albuquerque. Now it's leaving Albuquerque, heading to Dallas. So we're actually giving you milestone tracking, and our team is behind the scenes are actually keeping eyes on these and making sure we get alerted if a shipment sits for too long in a certain DC or DIN terminal. We're trying to be proactive with you to kind of speed up that shipment as much as possible. And the other thing down here is like once that shipment gets scanned into the system, we're giving you a shared tracking link to where you're able to share. It's a public link. You're able to share with your customers so they know exactly where the freight is. Because a lot of times there's some communication back and forth. Your customers want to know where freight is. Hey, when's the ETA? So you're able to share this tracking link with them in a matter of seconds. And so they're able to get that real-time tracking, have that, customer expectation of when that freight is, because that's the biggest thing when moving freight is the customer expectation. And so it's really simple. The BOL can be easily downloadable there, shipping label. And then this is also what we built inside of this is the document retrieval. A lot of systems, you have to go find those documents. You got to go find the signed BOL. You got to find the POD. As soon as the carriers upload those documents for us, they're getting included into the documents and charges. So let's say you do what Ian spoke about, being able to be proactive on some of the carrier inspections. If you have a weight certificate that's off by 600 pounds, you're like, there's no way, then we're able to kind of have that conversation with them preemptively before the shipment gets delivered. So we're getting all that information very quickly. So we're able to kind of show you guys, hey, this might be accurate, this isn't accurate, and then have that, that proactive conversation with the carrier to see if they can possibly reweigh it or inspect it again. So all your documents come right here, and it's very easy to navigate through. And then all your quotes, so let's say all your quotes and all your shipments are easily attainable. So if I ran a quote earlier and I needed to go back to it, I need to rerun it. It's as simple as clicking up a box and duplicating the quote. So if your sales guys need an opportunity to get a quote done, you're able to easily duplicate that quote in a matter of seconds. So that is on the LTL side. We try to make it very easy, very customer friendly, and also like we talked about earlier, is you got to be, if you're going to move this into multiple locations, it's got to be easy. It's got to be easily implemented. We've had customers that have 60 plus locations implement this over a couple of weeks because we make it very simple for the user experience. And then let's go the other great thing I love about this is one of the first TMS is backed by a digital brokerage where we're able to consolidate both your LTL, your full truckload, your flatbed, your reefer, your drayage, your intermodal, all in a single platform. And it's regardless if it's your direct LoadSmart or your carrier partners as well. So let's look at a truckload and see how fast we can absolutely execute a truckload out of this. So let's go back to Beverly Hills to Oklahoma. It's a great lane. So right here is we're able to give you an instant price point, right, from a LoadSmart shipment. And then we're also what Ian was referring to is this market benchmark, right? We're actually giving you an idea of where that price point you should be paying for that truckload on this particular lane. So you're able to give your salespeople an idea of like what this cost should be in this environment. So right here, you can see, even though LoadSmart, we're about the, a little bit upper bound. Like we're being very forthright. It's like our capacity and our pricing is a little bit higher than market currently. But we always want you to utilize LoadSmart as much as possible. But let's say, you know what? Hey, let me see what the confidence level is here. Okay, this is a very high confidence level. This lane signal showed me they really believe this is where the price point should be. But let's say, you know what? I want to say I have some other providers that might give me good contract pricing or a good spot rate in this lane. It's really simple. You literally click invite carriers to bid, and then all of your carrier partners come up in this screen. So let's say you have a good asset carrier or that wants that lane, you're able to click invite to bid, and then you're also able to set this, it's like a spot portal where you're able to set deadlines on this. So what we've seen the biggest benefit of those customers that are going from email, sending all the brokers, their carriers, that, hey, I need a rate on this. So they got a BCC, they got 15 carriers in it, and then they have to navigate through each one to see, all right, which is the lowest price, which is the lowest price. And so what happens is they get your providers get this nice, beautiful email that says, hey, we are accepting spot loads for this lane and this particular lane right now for this date. And then you have this much time to respond. And so it's as simple as they go into the system and can submit a rate in a matter of seconds. So within just me talking, that broker that you invited to was able to send you an additional rate based on that lane. And then it's a matter of you can either counteroffer, you can even book it with that carrier in a matter of seconds. So imagine like just being able to go back to this and see all the rates come through, be able to price compare it against the market. So hey, should I listen, I got a $3,000 rate. The lower bound is $2,900. That's a good rate. I should go ahead and book that truckload. Instead of wasting your time and waiting for, the bottom of the barrel, waiting for all these rates to come in later in the day, and then possibly miss out on that capacity. So we found so many customers love this functionality because they're able to instantly book this truckload. And then from there, it's simple as hitting the book button. And then you give them a deadline. You give them a deadline of like, hey, you got 2 hours, you got 2 minutes, you got 2 days to accept this tender. They accept the tender, and then you guys negotiate. Then you guys, then all the tracking, all your documentation, your PODs, all of that information is stored into Shipper Guide today. And then what we've seen is customers that have been able to really, this is where the value really comes in, is when you start capturing data, right? Instead of having, like most customers that utilize their spot portal through email, they don't have data. They don't know how they're buying against the market. Their executives have no idea how they're buying. So this is where we're capturing all this data, regardless if it's LoadSmart, regardless if it's your carrier, your carrier partnerships. We're able to kind of give you an idea of like how are you guys spending against the market, especially on the truckload side, flatbed, reefer side. How are you guys, how are you procuring right now? And then we can really like dive into where you might be possibly overspending. It could be because of the operational side. It could be whatever the reason is, but at least we're able to dig into it. So like right here in this, sandbox environment, from the past 6 months, we've kind of spent about $137,000 over market. all right, well, is it one particular lane to where you can actually see it, on this lane from Illinois to Vermont, we're 16% above market. Okay, what is that? Can we dig into that? Can I look at possibly reducing that rate? Do we have enough consistency there to possibly work out maybe a contracted rate with the carrier? But at least how you guys are buying. And I think that's the most valuable piece of customers being able to come inside Shipper Guide is to get that operational analysis, get that data where you can actually make operational decisions and not just go freight costs or what freight costs are. And then again, we talked about all your reporting. All your reporting comes right in here where he said to click of a button. You can literally get all your reports. You can download it easily, all your shipment data. And then we talked about Copilot. This is a really slick deal where you're able to utilize our artificial intelligence to ask it anything regarding your data. So if you ask it, what are my top 5 lanes in Q1? It's going to spit that out. What's my market bench? Like what lanes have I overspent over the past 30 days? It will spit that out. So this is a very cool software that we're seeing a lot of transportation leaders jump into because they were trying to get a high level overview of kind of how they're currently moving through the market today. And then we also have this connected to FreightWaves and Sonar now to where you can actually utilize Sonar. It's not just LoadSmart data. We have a partnership with Sonar to you get 60-day free trial. And then again, all your contracts, we can integrate this system into an ERP, any type of system you guys need. If you guys you need to bulk upload shipments. We have customers that have hundreds of shipments a day. They don't have time to quote manually. So we're able to create an integration between your systems and Shipper Guide because that's kind of how we built it. And I know I zoomed through that, but I just want to show you how quick and easy this system is for customers. And it's been a huge benefit to customers that come over to LoadSmart because you're not only able to consolidate data, you're getting a TMS platform backed by a digital brokerage, and then on the LTL side in particular, you're getting all of those additional capacity options from volume LTL, partial truckload, and class-based LTL. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed kind of seeing the flow of this. Again, I kind of zoomed through it, but like I said, when it's easy to use, it's really simple to kind of zoom through a quick demo. And I would love to hear any questions anyone has regarding Shipper Guide, LoadSmart, or any questions on the table.
Thanks, Sam. We did get a couple questions.
Okay.
One was just, could you explain, you talked about partial truckload a couple times. Can you explain a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. So partial truckload is, it's when it's that gray area of LTL, a gray area of freight. It's not a full truckload. You don't need 53 feet. It's not LTL. It's more than 5 or 6 pallets. So we have this algorithm that's able to find, we have capacity in box trucks, shared truckload, a number of different things. So we are actually LTL is pretty much backed by guaranteed capacity for the most part. Like LTL freight, the carriers have, they're giving us rates. That means they have capacity in that market and they're most likely to pick up. Partial truckload is a little bit different. It's very similar to a broker truckload. But with our algorithm, we're able to move partial truckload sometimes faster and less susceptible to damage. So partial truckload is finding that gray area between LTL and truckload where customers we see from not only cost savings, but operational savings as well.
Nice. What if a shipper already has some pre-negotiated rates with their carriers?
I love that someone asked that question. So this is how we built Shipper Guide. We are able to actually integrate your direct carrier, your direct LTL pricing inside Shipper Guide today. So if let's say, hey, I don't like working with brokers, I have my LTL and I work with brokers on the truckload side. Our platform, it actually allows you to keep those pre-negotiated rates with your carriers. You can still quote, tender, track, pay your invoices all through direct carrier relationships. And it's literally a very simple process for us. But that's why we built it, because we know there are shippers out there that have close relationships with their LTL providers. And they want to keep those pre-negotiated rates that they negotiated with their national or regional carriers. So Shipper Guide is great for that, to where we can actually upload those rates or integrate those rates to where you still work with them the same way you do today. We just give you a platform, a Shipper Guide, to execute and quote and track all of that. And so when I tell customers that have that have done that, that's where we see a lot of savings. We see a ton of savings when you're able to get your direct carriers into this, supplement our digital brokerage on the truckload, partial truckload side. So at the end of the day, this platform can only save you money, like period. If you have pre-negotiated rates and you ever use LoadSmart, it's because our rates are more advantageous or our service levels are a little bit higher because of the partial truckload side. So that we've seen a lot of customers get excited about that. That's a new enhancement we just launched not too long ago.
Very exciting. And just a reminder to everyone, if you do have questions for Sam here, you can use the Q&A feature in Zoom. Another question. So with LTL, we see a number of additional charges with our LTL providers from time to time. How does LoadSmart communicate those additional charges?
So we have a couple different ways we work with customers on this. One is that we do on our docs and charges, we will submit additional charge and show you tell you what that is. It's a reweight, is it a reclass, and then you can approve or deny it right instantly. The other way we do it as well, we actually can give customers a dashboard. And especially with our larger clients that have number of different locations, right? Like we all know an LTL quote is only an LTL quote. Until you get that LTL invoice, that's what really matters. So we actually have the ability to not only show you, which of my planers are not going low cost. How many times are they choosing a higher cost carrier? So we're able to show you first the minimum quote that was available versus what was booked. Okay, so that's important. The other piece that we're having on top of that is like, okay, what is the difference between what is quoted and what is invoiced? So that's what the most powerful piece is, because a lot of times when people quote, they're not trying to underquote on purpose. They just possibly made a mistake, or the carrier possibly made a mistake. But what we're able to do is we're tracking each shipment like that. So we're able to have proactive conversations with our customers to go, hey, in this particular warehouse, you guys are quoting about 10% less than what the actual invoice is. So we need to possibly do another training session with your group, or try to really dig in and like find out why. Is it reweighs? Is it reclasses? Is it lift gates at delivery we're not adding? But like that's been very powerful, because instead of bleeding money through 6 months, we're able to get that stopped within just a few weeks and do the correct training and keep customers have visibility into how they're buying against the market. And again, we can do that with our LoadSmart brokerage, or we can utilize your direct carriers as well. We can have that partnership there as well. So it's a really good benefit of what we're bringing to customers, just to get them. Again, I think Ian said it best, like we're proactive. We're not reactive to these situations. We want to be very proactive when it comes to these small things on the LTL side.
Thank you. Actually, I just yesterday talked with another customer that rolled out Shipper Guide TMS, and one of the things that they mentioned was how easy it was for their carriers to use it. Like they were expecting, calls and emails from their carriers saying, "I don't know how to use this system," but it was intuitive enough that they had no questions from their carriers. So,
and we've got a lot of feedback from that as well, just from the spot quoting side, from the truckload side. Your broker probably doesn't want to keep sending you back and forth emails, right? They don't want to just keep following up on emails. Hey, how's this going? So when those spot rates come over to your partners, I mean, it's simple as like literally just clicking a box, putting the rate in, and seeing how they're buying against against their competition sometimes. So we've got a lot of feedback from our other carriers, that this is easy. This is very simple for us to use. I know when my customer wants a status update, Ian asked about a status, getting status updates. We actually, with the click of a box, we send a message to your carrier partner, go, hey, can you please update this shipment? Tell me where it is. It's in Dallas, it's in Oklahoma, wherever that is. So that we've also built this because we do have, LoadSmart does have a carrier TMS. So we've listened to carriers, like what they want, right? What are their needs? And so we're kind of combining both those experiences into one, not from the shipper side, but also from the carrier side.
Well, thank you so much, Sam, for being with us today, and for interviewing Ian earlier. For the rest of our participants, we will be sharing the recording with you after today's webinar. Any final words from you, Sam, before we let
I've done a couple of these in my past, but hearing a customer say when LoadSmart calls, answer the phone. Like that is, we would love an opportunity to talk to you. We know sometimes LoadSmart isn't the best fit for every customer, but just giving us the conversation to really dig into your supply chain, dig into your challenges, we're gonna provide a solution. Now, is that the solution gonna be fit for you guys? We don't know that until we have that conversation. So, if anyone would love, I would love to be able to just have a discovery call with anyone that's interested into this new system we have, where we're building a tech partnership along with a service and brokerage partnership. And when you kind of combine those two, it's win-win for both LoadSmart and the shipper.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And to everyone else, thank you for joining us today. To learn more about our shipper solutions, visit loadsmart.com. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.